To most that play Black Desert, this doesn't seem like an unusual occurrence. The player successfully completed the minigame and was rewarded for their efforts. This pull happened to be all green rarity fish and items, a Mudskipper and 2 relics. Hell, I'd argue most players who fish wouldn't even recognize this as anything out of the ordinary. But it is. The problem here is that the player has just caught a Mudskipper in Margoria, and Margoria does not have Mudskippers in its fishing table. Both BDOfish.com and Fami's map on somethinglovely.net confirmed that Mudskippers are possible to be caught in the Ross Sea, even if those websites disagree on the jurisdictional boundaries. But nowhere in any of the Margoria regions do Mudskippers appear on the fishing table. So, how does a player catch a fish from an area where the fish isn't supposed to be able to be caught? But before we get into that, we need to discuss parallel. We're not actually going to do that, by the way, because the answer here is, unfortunately, more speculative. To first understand how this occurred, we need to understand something else, which is how fishing in Black Desert works. When a fishing rod is cast into a pool or fishing table, the game decides what a player will fish up. There's a number of different tables. There's rare fish, which are yellow in rarity. There's big fish, which are blue in rarity. Common fish, which are green in rarity. Treasure items, which can be either green or blue in rarity. Trash items, which are typically white in rarity, and event items whose color depends upon whatever the event is that's going on. For an example of how fishing works, let's say the player casts their fishing pole into a water source. The game then decides what table that player will be rewarded with should they succeed the minigame. If the game has decided that the player is to receive a rare fish, and the player is successful, then the player will be rewarded with a rare fish. Pretty simple. This remains true even if the player, such as the one in this video, is rewarded with more than one fish or item as a result of the minigame. So, how does a player catch more than one fish? Introducing the triple float rod. A triple float rod, or TFR, is a fishing pole that allows players a greater chance of catching more than one fish or item with each cast. On a mathematical level, it equates to approximately 1.5 fish per cast versus a normal fishing rod when you're using no energy whatsoever. A TFR is a best-in-slot item for active fishers in Black Desert, so its use here is not out of the ordinary, and the TFR has been in the game since Black Desert's launch. What was not in the game since launch, however, were prize catches. Prize catches are part of a function for fishing known as mastery. Mastery was added later in the game, and it acted as a buff for players who predominantly focused more on life skills, like fishing, than slaying monsters. For fishing, the mastery text states, quote, "When your fishing mastery increases, it increases your chance of catching a prize catch. The prize catch group includes prize catch fish and ancient relic crystal shards. Your chance of catching rare fish does not increase when your fishing skill mastery increases." Dissecting this is rather easy. A player with fishing mastery can expect to be rewarded with additional ancient relic crystal shards, which are also part of the aforementioned treasure items table, or a prize catch fish, which we will be calling just prize fish from here on out. This means that the amount of fishing tables actually looks like this. Tapping into the prize group table with a TFR may reward the player with multiple of those fish or items as well. Yes, you can catch multiple prize fish on one pole. You can see in this Korean's screenshot that they did just that. So with all that in mind, let's re-examine the initial video. The player succeeds in the minigame and is rewarded with a Mudskipper, which is a common/green rarity fish, and 2 ancient relic crystal shards, which are both in the prize group and the treasure item group table. By all accounts, this shouldn't happen. But the video clearly shows this player accomplishing this with the accompanying text as to what they caught at the top of the screen as well. So, if the video goes against everything that we've already established, does that mean that all the aforementioned is wrong or flawed? Well, no. No, it doesn't. See, the issue here is that the system of fishing tables is actually working as intended. The player in this video was being rewarded not in the green table nor the treasure item table. Instead, they were being rewarded in the prize catch table. This explains the ancient relic crystal shards. But it doesn't explain the Mudskipper, because Mudskippers aren't prize fish. Except they are, and they aren't. Okay, so there's only one type of Mudskipper in the game, the low-value, easily catchable fish that most everyone simply throws out or auto-trashes because it basically isn't worth the inventory slot to sell. However, there's a special occurrence where the player hits the prize group table with a TFR, or if they're using energy to attempt to catch more fish as well with a standard rod, for the player to catch a Mudskipper as one of the fish or items when multiple catches are being rewarded from this prize group table. I call this phenomenon the Prizeskipper. I don't know why I said it so dramatically. I don't believe this is an error on the developer's part, rather, I believe it was intentionally done to prevent the players from hitting the prize group table and collecting multiple high-value fish and relics, predominantly by using the TFR, and since TFRs can only be acquired from a quest or sometimes from the Black Spirit's adventure, it seems kind of like one of those items that you either have to have or buy, and not everyone would have access to them. So they added this Prizeskipper, as it were, into the prize group table to sort of nerf it a little bit. Unfortunately, this is to the detriment of those who pursue the life skill in a more serious manner and try to make the most of their investment, especially with Manos clothes and accessories, as they're being intentionally gimped without the disclosure that this fish, which, again, the mastery text verbatim states should not, also exists within the prize group catch table. It feels deceitful for a life skill that got rather shafted by the introduction of mastery, though not so much as others. So there you have it. That's how you get a Mudskipper and 2 relics in the same table, as long as there's no events going on. I would like to thank my Patreons for the... Oh. That's right.